The sun's my enemy is the first thought that enters my mind upon waking. The waves of my nemesis have crept through the window. I squint and squinch my face at the intrusion, but I lose the glaring match. I swing my legs out of bed and then heave myself to my feet. With also entering the height of summer, the early mornings are both a curse and a blessing. I splash my face to fully wake up and then look out my window. It's been a few weeks since we got back. We have remained on duty throughout, waiting to be called to action again. However, Raptor recovered before another incursion happened in our sector. We hadn't been given much of a reprieve during the waiting after our debrief and battle analysis. Commander Finn had given us all increased training exercises. He personally attended a few to assess the pack's efficiency. I always felt his eyes boring a hole into my skull. Maybe he was impressed with our combined efforts against the Butcher, or maybe I shook my head no. Brute would not have told him about that. He was insistent we didn't say anything. Plus, keeping quiet lets Brute maintain his reputation for being able to take the agent's damage throughout the battle. During the debrief, we learned of the full extent that Finn's steed had been damaged. A collision with a plague vessel had sent him off target and ended up with his steed scrapping along part of the plague core ship outer hull before being able to pull away. The feedback from this through his ship translated to a series of sensory stimuli on par with the sensation of Finn's body being torn in two. Brute had felt that, dealt with it. Finn still have returned to the drop ship for repairs, but chose to not disengage. From the footage, it was hard to argue with his combat prowess. I even marveled at the skill he showed in maneuvering, knowing he had taken that sort of damage. Still, I remember what Brute looked like then, whacked with pain, at the point of being consumed by it. That made it hard to feel like Finn's choice was justified. There were zero civilian deaths caused by the incursion. The results were the best one could ask for, but would it have been different if Finn had stepped back to repair? The war deaths kept me up more than a few nights, thinking of how every moment of our fight could have played out differently. We assessed our choices plenty each day in training. Of course, I can't say that I would have changed any of the choices that I made. I don't really understand Finn, and I don't condone his actions, but I hope he at least thanked Brute for dealing with the consequences. Complex has been strange as well. I thought we had reached a good point, maybe gotten past some barriers. Outside of training and even in our evening meals, he often excuses himself rapidly now. Perhaps he has been given extra tasks by Finn that are keeping him busy and tired. Outside, as I turn away from the window and then go to shower and get ready. Small steps, Corin, small steps. I'm just finishing preparing Cobbix's meal when I hear his footfalls on the stairs, and then he enters. He looks up from his stick and appears startled for a moment at me being here. Oh, good morning, Corin. He awkwardly takes a seat as I bring him his food. I place the bowl down and then, remembering the honey, I dart back to the kitchen to fetch the jar. Looks like we're running low. The jar is less than a fifth or so full. I've noticed Cobbix lets himself indulge in quite the serving when he puts his own on, so this much won't last long. Cobbix takes a moment to finish reading and report that made his brows knit together before looking at me, then the jar. The honey. I have been meaning to ask for more from Cannon. You're scheduled to have him lead the training today. Can you ask him to bring some over when he gets a chance? Sure. Yeah, sure. I can do that. I look at the jovial bear on the label and I can't stop myself from asking, what's he like, Cannon? Cobbix catches my gaze and then stares at the jar for a while before closing his eyes in contemplation. He He is a good knight, good man, really. He's very sociable and friendly, and gets on well with pretty much everyone. He cares. Cobbett opens his eyes and looks at me properly for what feels like the first time in weeks. He cares a lot. I've known him since we were squires. Powerful fighter, sure, but he's just as happy in his garden with his bee drones as he is in combat. It sounds nice. He is. He made a point to visit me a lot when he could during my rehabilitation. He's a true friend. You see a moment of silence before Cobbett coughs and looks away. I hastily check my own stick. Oh yeah, I'm gonna go grab some food since we're in the woods for training. See you later tonight. I practically flee the room and then the house. Why does it feel so awkward all of a sudden? First things first, training, then hunting, requisitioning. After what Cobbett said, I'm really looking forward to today's survival training. I honestly could do with a rest from all the combat exercises. Hurrying to the canteen, I double-checked the itinerary for the day. Cannon will be taking us out to the forest surrounding the complex. Apart from what Cobbett had said before about Cannon's schedule being swapped for his, I'm not sure what to expect. Per the lesson prep instructions we are to have a light breakfast. Part of the exercise will be foraging and hunting. I head towards the line of those queuing for their meals and see Alex at the end, eyes closed as he reads something from his stick interfaces. What a perfect opportunity. I grin and creep up behind my prey. Alex is always so stoic. It would be great to get him to jump a bit. I step in behind him, gazing his state as he maintains his reading. His brow furrows a little at whatever he is going over. Just as I go in for the kill, fingers reach for my sides and make him jolt. I'm stopped. His paw grabs my left hand with unnerving speed and holds it in place. Not so fast, old chum. You'll have to get up much earlier than that to catch this cat off guard. Oh, is that right? He maintains his grip on my wrist, firmly but not painfully. It's remarkable how strong he can be. Given the twisted position his arm is in, I strain against the hold, but it's more a game than anything. Indeed, even blinded and distracted as I was, you have the elegance and deftness of a pachyderm. There's no way you could even. Alex cuts off with a squeaking moo. He hadn't noticed my free hands snaking to his dancing tail while he was giving his speech. Looks like some tricks works on all cats. His face immediately goes rosy pink. He looks incredulous as I present the captured tail to him and waggle it. I barely squeeze it before he snatches it back, glaring. Well, I guess pride cometh before the fall. I want a nat swift and terrible revenge of you, dear Pat Meg. I swear on all my facets. Alex tries to recover some decorum amidst the laughter of the few around who heard his squeak. The promise of retaliation is as scary as it is thrilling. I'm glad he's taking it as fun. Moving on, I'm sure you'll be able to sneak up on me easily given all the noise I make. He laughs before stepping up to the assembler and inserting his stick. He frowns at the displayed menu and then attempts to swipe the screen to the custom order section. With a dull buzz, the machine rejects the attempts and displays the original meals. He tries again, only to be met with more denial before giving up and choosing breakfast. Stepping up and trying myself, I get fewer options myself. The readout shows its balance at about half of what I'd normally be required to consume for breakfast. Not wanting to hold the queue up, I accept it and then join Alex to eat. I can assume this may be my own night's design. He nods at my tray, then his, before he takes a bite. Both are lighter than we usually get. This will be doing survival training. I guess he wants us just barely fed to make sure we're eager enough to forage. trying to finish my meal, trying to finish his meal demurely. He's pouting ever so slightly. Wow. I jolt as a tray slams onto the table. Just a few inches from me, Brute straddles the bench as he sniffs at Alex with derision. Must be such a blow you can't even eat your morning caviar with, boy. I glance over and see that Brute also has a small portion. He notices and then puts his arm between his tray and mine. After shooting me a glare, he starts chopping into it rapidly. It's more than enough. Alex stares at Brute's display of table manners with abject horror for a full minute before politely coughing and then continuing with his own meal. I'm surprised to see you join us, Brute. The commander has been wanting you ragged as of late, has he not? Brute winces and chokes on his food. I'm about to hit him on the back to help, but he shoots me a do it and die look. I hold my hands away instead and let him clear it with a gulp of water. Yeah, I've been doing additional training. I requested it. He is making time to make sure I succeed. More of it. He glances at me for the briefest of moment before looking away, still coughing to clear his airways. I feel uncertain if he's telling the truth or just making an excuse for avoiding me. Not that I expected him to have magically transformed from being an asshole just because he'd been in mine. I wasn't going to and won't broach the topic unless he wants to. We have enough on our plate as it is with the training regimen that we haven't had enough social time for me to know one way or another. I stare at my plate disapprovingly and hurry to finish it. I'm looking forward to getting out and clearing my head. Before being moonbound, I love going out into the wilderness with my family. Volvo had been in the Gold Rush era of agricultural growth and frontier exploration, so there was always something to find or see. It wouldn't be the same without them, but that didn't stop me feeling pumped. After we finish our meager meals, the three of us stand ready to depart. I glance about, but seeing no sign of Erickson or Zarya is not too surprising given how busy they both have been. Zarya wants to get her arms fully approved for combat and has squeezed in any extra training that she can. Jazz and Eriks have been assisting in fine-tuning her arms and getting her ready for the assessment. Funnily enough, Eriks is the one who always looks the most exhausted afterwards. Jazz certainly keeps him running about with their seemingly endless energy and constant ideas for improvements. It isn't until we're heading towards the wooded area surrounding the grounds that I spot them both. Zarya's laughter pierces through the crowd with ease. Oh, come on, Eriks, we're almost there. Now that it's scheduled for next week, we just need to pull a few more sessions and then I'll be cleared. She pulls him into a hug, even as the bear hugs tightly at her. If he wanted to, he doesn't appear to have the energy to resist. Did I hear that right, dear? Zarya, you have your test next week? There you all are. Yeah, I'm stoked. Eriks and the captain have really made these babies purr. I know it'll make a huge difference in our next deployment. She flexes her arms excitedly and Eriks grins. It quickly transforms into a yawn. I'm happy for you, but I really am looking forward to not getting up at the crack of dawn again. Not that I mind helping out or anything. So I can't thank you both enough for all the work you put into me, and I promise after this is over, I'm more than happy to let you sleep in. I think we both see more cracks recently than our last sour visit. Zoe's first take on letting her mouth run on autopilot has its highs and lows, seeing everyone's expressions mostly made up for it mostly. Here. I snap my hair around to the noise, but I'm not certain who will laugh. Before I can ask, a new hearty laugh fills the air. Come on, everyone, gather around. Can't miss me. If you tried. I think that's the last of the class, right, Alex? Yes, Knight Tobbs, that is correct. Alex tries to keep a stoic demeanor, but I can see the corners of his mouth twitch as his tail dances. Alex walks over, stops next to him, and then stands at attention. Oh, stop that. We're in the wild. No need for formalities. Even though Cannon's posture is far more relaxed than Alex's, he still towers over him. I have forgotten how big he is. Though not as tall as Cyworks, the Earn sign stands at least half a foot taller than Alex. His beaming smile and beveled chest cut a very inviting figure. Damn, his arms must be thicker than my thigh, easily. He claps his paws and then gestures for us all to get closer, bringing us into a tighter formation near him. We're going to have a fun simulation of being stranded at planet side today. Sometimes it happens, especially to those of us at the forefront of battle. The thought of being stranded is terrifying. McKennan's relaxed demeanor and his buoyant, almost sing-song tone makes it feel more like an adventure. In future lessons, we will travel to a variety of habitats so you can learn how to stay safe in more extreme environments. For now, we will make sure everyone has a baseline of knowledge. He beams at us. This is also a great time to learn each other's tips and tricks. After all, we all came from so many different kinds of places. Learning what each other knows and absorbing that could help you survive when it truly counts. He fixes his stare at each of us in turn. It's hard to tell Wally what he means. His gaze has the look of someone who has seen a lot, someone who has had to do anything to keep going. Cannon's focus is immediately shattered by a small buzz emanating from the foliage. A minute black and yellow drone emerges and then flutters over to him. Oh, Bumble, there you are, my cutie. Did you and your brothers find everything? Bumble lights up and dances before Cannon, whose arm cuff lights up in response. He nods at his diminutive bot as it shares its discoveries. Okay then, continue working hard. Right, everything is ready. We're going to hike into the woods and set up camp. My friends have confirmed everything is prepared properly, so we can head off. Cannon motions for us to follow and then starts lumbering away from the grounds. The drone zips off ahead of him. We take after him, slowly separating back into our individual packs. Cannon is surprisingly adept at disappearing and reappearing at a moment's notice to point out facts about various plants or animals. Everyone has a range of reactions to the excursion. Zarya appears fully overstimulated, swiveling her head at any and all noises and sights. She listens intently every time Cannon appears. He lectures about moss, protein-rich grubs, and how to detect poisonous or venomous things to steer clear of. Alex keeps a good pace. Much like the larger bear, he seems at ease with long-endurance marches. He doesn't look as interested in the lessons as everyone else is. Alex, on the other hand, is entirely out of his element. He flicks grime and dirt off after each activity. Even as he shows interest in what is being said, he answers observational questions clearly when prompted. It isn't long until we stop for a breather and Cannon talks about the uses of a particularly red patch of mud. Mud should never be underestimated. You can hide with it, build with it, even cook with it if you know the means. You'll always have a good time with bare muck. He makes a wide gesture, arms outstretched, and in a turn, he happens to bump Alex on the back, who promptly flails before falling face first in the aforementioned mud. Oops, sorry Alex. Didn't see you there. He leans over to help the spluttering cat to his feet. As he does, I catch Cannon's eye, and he winks. Did he mean to do that? Oh, of all that, sir, I implore you, please mind your dramatic posture. I am drenched. Cannon helps Alex out by smearing off as much of the mud as he can. He seems to be more rubbing it into his fur than off of. I catch Brute off to the side with the biggest smirk I've seen on him. The smirk disappears when he sees me staring, and then he wanders away to talk to some others. I'm a mess. I turn back to, and I'm greeted by a very unhappy and still muddy Alex. Yes, I can see that, really. I think brown looks good on you. Alex shoots me a glare. As he opens his mouth to reply, Zoria appears and starts babbling excitedly. Hey, I just found some moss the type Cannon says is great for a makeshift. Oh my gosh, what happened to Alex? She openly laughs and points at Alex, whose tail swishes and dances irritably. This must be some beauty regimen, right? Gotta make sure your fur stays lustrous, right? I always thought you were more graceful than this, Alex. How did you manage to? She is cut off as a clod of mud hits her white enema, making her splutter. Alex has a sinister grin on his face. Goodness, it appears I'm so clumsy that I accidentally kicked some mud your way. Do forgive my ill-coordinated feet, won't you, dear cousin? I fear catastrophe is imminent, but Cannon appears on either side of them and then slings his meaty arms around their necks, drawing them both into a sidelong hug. Now, kiddies. When we get to the stream, we can wash you both off. Nothing better for bonding than communal bathing. But until then, let us press on. So much more to see. And just like that, he releases them both and then saunters away, transitioning straight back into teaching mode as he points out a bird's nest his drones are signaling to. I really can't get a good read on this night. I'm not entirely certain what his objectives are. One minute he seems to be wailing his own squire up, with the next he's diffusing the building tension. We press on further. Alex, despite his initial filthy attitude following his impromptu mud bath, soon becomes an entirely different person. He no longer approaches things with an air of avoidance. Finally, seeming to relax, he looks like he's simply enjoying the survival lesson Cannon teaches us. He even makes a few jokes while arms deep in a hunt's innards. As promised, it isn't much further until we reach a charming brook cutting through the forest. Cannon brings us all to attention with a booming clap of his paws. All right, sweets, we come a fair way, braved the hostile terrain, and found a source of water. Now we can fortify our position and nourish ourselves. We will filter the water and then purify it by boiling. Then we can cook the forest bounties we've claimed. He licks his lips hungrily. I'm famous. The light breakfast really has made food the main thing on my mind. But of course that means fire. Now yes, you should be able to start a fire easily in most situations. However, we are learning the worst case scenarios, so let's show you how to kindle. He goes on to have our packs gather material to build our fires. Alex surprises me by not insisting on washing up first before we head into the brush. He catches me giving him a coy look. Yes, Corwin, what appears to be the trouble? Do I have something on my face? He gives me such an innocent expression as he speaks that I can't help but snort. A moment later, his facade breaks and we are both laughing. I'm wheezing so much that I reach out to grab onto a tree. It isn't until I manage to gasp enough air to straighten up that I realize that my sturdy tree is in fact Brute. He's looking at us both with a mix of confusion and mirth. This is some fucked up method of finding firewood if I ever saw it. Sorry, Brute, I'm sorry. We'll start looking, I swear. He pulls his arm free from my grasp, seemingly having waited for me to stand properly before doing so. Yeah, well, you better. We gotta start a fire bigger and better than anyone else, and we won't do that with you bent over like you're. He trails off before blushing, pivoting on the spot. and then marching deeper into the forest, I feel my own cheeks flush as I guess what he was picturing. There's really isn't time for thinking more on that, especially as Zarya zips past, arms and hair, full of twigs and sticks. Gotta get sticks, gotta get sticks, gotta get sticks. The blur continues past the collection point and leaps into the tree line beyond, startling another pack so much that most fall on their asses. Alex gives me one look of amused horror, and then we're laughing again. After a while, and some more wild leaps from Zarya Cannon gathers us around. He squats down and shows us how to build, and then coats a flame using a few different methods. You've seen how easy it is to get sparks when you have something metal to scrape off of. One of the many things your suits can assist in survival. He looks at us from over the flames of his last demonstration. He has this fatherly energy in his teaching approach, or maybe more of a mischievous uncle. We don't like to think of what a worse situation could be, but we must be prepared for it. Now, I'm going to show you the most fundamental and primitive means to get a flame going. He tosses aside the metal and wires he'd been using and then starts grabbing a select few sticks and kindling from the pile we amassed in our scabbards. I can see some of you think that this might be useless to learn. Believe it or not, it wasn't so long ago that we suffered many incidents just like what I'm teaching you all about. As he snuffs out the previous fire, his expression becomes solemn for the first time. While we are doing well now in our efforts to fight them off, our history with the plague has been one of constant struggle and awful losses as we scrambled to offer defense. Even with the entire Union pulling together the greatest minds and resources from across our galaxy, our early attempts at diplomacy and their resistance were riddled with failure after failure. He starts saving some of the sticks, each sentence only punctuated with the sound of his claws carving more off. As you all know, in terms of attacking, it took us several attempts to even make a dent in one of their ships. The defense was equally poor. Our ships were designed to transport people in safety, not defend against such a hostile threat. Ships were shot down, emergency pods deployments, and very ungraceful landings were common. Strandings occurred too. Communications were often down, and searches had to be delayed while we tried to stop harvest. Knights and squires alone or entire packs could spend days to weeks or longer awaiting rescue, other on very inhospitable worlds. Fear, paranoia, constant vigilance for attacks, all that weighs on one's mind. You'd be surprised how fast that can erode someone's psyche. And yes, we have made it much harder to lose track of any one of you with each technological stride. However, it is pertinent to still learn the art of primitive fire. With the floors, he spins the whittled stick rapidly. In the savings he mounted up. With only a few encouraging huffs into the pile, a glow starts to peek through. And voila! The present store outside, you can coax the flames of resistance even in the most dire situations. I might make it look easy, but I'm used to working with wood and my pods and friction. Don't beat yourselves up if you don't get it right away. He winks at all of us, and I can't be the only one thinking that was an innuendo, right? Am I that horny brain that I twist even an innocent sentence? It doesn't help that this night has a smolder on him hotter than the fires he just lit. Okay, split into your packs and take turns getting a fire going. Get a few sparks, even a few sparks are good. I'll be ready to jump in and douse anything getting out of hand, so please have fun. He gestures at some buckets placed next to the stream. With a massive grin, he gives us all one of his rumbling laughs as we separate out and then take up spots to practice. Alice takes this time to wash in the river. batting away Zoria's attempts at helping while the cats groom themselves. Brute, Eric, and I start preparing our fires. Come on, stop dozing off, you lump. We need proper kindling. I turn my head from watching the others to look at Brute, who is hacking at some sticks with the grace of a serial killer. Eric watches on, distracted by the horror. Oh, right, sorry, I'll get right on that. Still seemingly unnerved by Brute's thrashing, Eric almost absent-mindedly picks up half a log and wakes his claws down in it in a practiced motion. A flurry of wood chips and fibers fall from the log like snow as Brute and I watch in shock. Wow, Eric, that sure is one way to do it. Now we're talking. That's great, keep going. We'll have the biggest blaze around. Bruce dismissed and sad twig falls. Forgotten as he shuffles close to Eric, he gathers the falling debris into a pile with glee. Eric looks confused and embarrassed at the odd encouragement. He makes eye contact with me before continuing. Sure, we'll want a fair bit for each of us to try. He continues to spread more of the wood to the cackling glee of Brute below. Are you okay, Eric? You look like you know the stuff Cannon is talking about, but you don't seem happy about it. Eric winces even as his paws continue to worry the log on autopilot. The survival stuff has been taught to me a lot. Night Tops isn't anything like my pa or my uncles, and how he's teaching, of course, but it's still a little. He trails off, finishing up spreading his log and letting his paws hang loosely next to him. He jolts slightly as Alex's paw grabs his left shoulder. Well, I hope we can rely on your expertise in this den, my friend, and in the process forge new memories. What do you say? Zoria joins us on Eric's other side and gives him a gentle for her bump. Yeah, can you show me how to use friction to make embers? Cannon's paws were a bit too big for me to get a good look. I think my babies could really do some work on rubbing wood, and oh, for the stars, must I would kill you, Alex. She lashes out half-heartedly at Alex and grinned the moment she spoke. That was enough to get a chortle out of Eric's. Even Brute snickers while piling the wood snow into 5 mounds. Yes, Zoria, come show us all how to rub it properly here. Zoria whips her head towards Brute. She looks like she's about to spit something back at him before pausing, mouth agape. You actually called me by my name for once, Brute. Brute starts his bundle building, mile half open himself before shutting it closed and with a snap. Slip of the tongue. Shut up. Get to it then. He then turns away, and I swear I see him blushing. He really has some childish tendencies. Despite that, the mood remains active and good. We each take turns to manage to get sparks going. Eric makes it look easy, but it takes me a few tries before I get to speed right. The initial panic and jubilation upon seeing those hot embers starting to glow is almost overwhelming. I hurriedly give them just the right amount of wells to make them grow before feeding it some kindling. The exercise takes me back to camping on furrow. Cannon comes around and checks our progress, getting hands-on with those that can't do it alone after a few tries. Seeing him get so close and guide the others makes me a tad envious that we managed it without his direct help. Those feelings are quickly smothered when he produces fluffy, sweet treats to melt over everyone's flames. Watching the white clouds char as we hold them aloft, the fires on Twizzlers make for a nice reward for our efforts. Alright, that seems good. You all did great. Don't tell anyone I gave you those sugary snacks. KAU nutritionists will be horrified hearing their calories. He winks at us and puts a finger to his lips. There is a murmur of laughter and giggles throughout the packs. Cannon really knows how to get people to relax. Now we move on to cook the foraging we did on the way. A bit of energy will keep you attentive while I show you all what to do. Like an odd wild buffet, he displays a collection of fruits, fungi, meats, and vegetables we gather. One by one, he gives us an overview of how best to cook them. He is meticulous in explaining the dangers of eating something either poisonous or improperly cooked, citing how that can be more deadly than a few days of holding out for rescue. There are some universal rules for what is and is not edible on any planet. The best thing you can do is observe the wildlife and see what they are eating. The larger the creature, the less likely their diets contain foods that have large quantities of toxins. It isn't foolproof though. That's why we've already looked at cleaning and preparing any animal we hunt to reduce the chance of unsafe meat as much as we can with no means to check. If you can hold out, great, but you should gather while you have the energy to, and try a small amount first. His stick can detect a lot within its catalog, but if you lose it, you'll have to make a wise choice. He multitasks admirably, never stopping his pause while cooking during his explanations. Before long, we have a feast before us of what the forest has provided. The smell alone is tantalizing. The smell alone is tantalizing. The tree did not feel the hole left from the track and small breakfast. Dig in. Some of these items will not be the most palatable, but they will help you sustain yourself when needs must. He grins, then pops a charred fish to his mouth. We each try some. He isn't wrong. Some are bitter, though. Cooking has removed a little of that. There's no seasoning either, but I'm used to that luxury missing. Overall, if I had to survive awaiting rescue, this isn't bad. Not bad at all. After polishing it all off, we then carefully put out the fires, bury the remains, and make sure that any traces that native predators or an unfamiliar world would be attracted to are all removed. Fantastic, right? You're fed. So let's start the trek back to civilization, shall we? Beaming his shit-eating grin and clapping his paws as we groan, Cannon starts herding us back the way we came. As we make our way back through the woods, I take some time to digest what we've been sown. I feel fairly confident that I wouldn't immediately perish if I had to deal with foraging and surviving on a wild planet. It might be harder, but it certainly wouldn't be as hard as it was. Hey Cohen, I found something. Oh nice, let me see. Still wrapped, should be edible. Great find, Moss. I'm thirsty, Cohen. Hold on, Ma, you're burning up. I need to find you some medicine too. But we haven't found anything far. We haven't found anything near. And further out could be. I'll find you something. Just try to keep quiet till I'm back, okay? Cohen? Yeah. I don't think anyone's going to find us. Don't give up yet. The cavalry will come get us. You'll see. I'm so hungry. Okay, I'll go search soon. Just need to rest my eyes. Cohen? Cohen? Scan so there's something here. Close. Sir, you need to rest. You're in no condition to. I can't just stop now, or what was it all for? But sir, there can't be any. Here. There's someone here. Help me lift this, please. Help me lift. Squad Stringer. I leap as someone whispers directly into my right ear, almost falling over in the process. A pair of massive arms wrap around me and arrest my slip. Whoa there, little cricket. Didn't mean to spook you. I look up at his smirking face, somewhat doubting his claim. He gently lets me go once he's certain I'm steady. Yeah, sorry. I couldn't help myself. You were staring off so hard I thought I needed to coax you back to land. I rubbed my neck, a bit uncomfortable. The sudden jolt from the bear had certainly distracted me from my memories, but I still feel a bit clammy. Ah, yes. Sorry, sir. I was just thinking of survival methods. His eye looks over me from under the long hair obscuring his face. With that and to say I can't fully read his expression. I have no doubt. Well, what I was really coming over to you about was to say you have quite a sweet scent about you. I'm sorry. He chuckles as he pats my shoulder. His firm hold directs me to keep walking so as not to fall too far from not as to not too as to not fall too far from the group. Anyway, I mean it. I can tell my own special brand quite well. I'll have you know. I have smelled it on you the entire lesson. I turn my head to the right to look at him. As his paw still graces my left shoulder, I fight every urge in my body to blush. The closeness doesn't help. His cheeky grin and the way he spoke had this underlying current to it that made it hard to figure out what he meant. So I imagine Cobex must be wanting on top of her, eh? Oh, I finally get what he's alluding to. I fumble with my pack. I present the nearly empty jar that I'd taken from Cobex this morning. Of course, this is what he meant. Cannon's eyes shines with mirth as he takes the jar from me. He licks a sticky spot from a desert with what I can only consider to be insidious intent. A moment later, though, his expression falls, and as he stares at the jar's label, and he suddenly looks tired and sad. I wish I could do more for my friend than just keeping him rich and honey. There you are, Esmeralda. Thank you. He addresses one of his drones that buzzes over, carrying an amber-filled jar with slight difficulty. Good. I see. Tell others then. And see about deploying the hive. Good job. The drone nuzzles his paw for a moment before it bumbles off, disappearing out of sight once more. His gaze lingers on the spot before he turns and places the jar in my hands. He wraps his paws around mine, holding them while fixing me with a stare. Cobbs is a good man, Corbin, but he's also become a stick in the mud since he's been back. Doesn't socialize or do the things he likes anymore. His expression softens and he gives my hands a squeeze. We might not be as close as we were, but I can tell he's starting to wag that tail again. Open up. So I'm asking you, as a favor, to keep on doing whatever you are doing. Coax him back to us. Not as an order, just as a friend who very much wants his buddy happy and to go back to spending good evenings and wild nights like they used to do. He tilts his head to the left, considering me, and then gives me an apologetic grin. I hope you don't think I'm putting too much on you. From what I've seen and heard, you have just the right stubborn streak in you, as he does, for getting things done. He releases me and then puts his paws on his hips, observing me as I digest what he's asked and said. I still don't think I have a good read on the night. He's kind but mischievous, and seems to have agendas I'm not able to figure out, but I do believe him when he says he cares about Cobex. Sir, you can trust me. I want to help Cobex in all the ways I can. I'll do whatever it takes. He beams at me before I can resist. I'm pulled into the Lord Ernstine's arms and gives the most enveloping bell hug I've ever had. Even through his uniform, I can smell hints of sweetness and musk from his fur, coupling that with how he is happily rocking me, suddenly brings the blood to my cheeks when he releases me. Good lad. All right, let's catch up with the others. I have a nice treat for you all. He gives me another wink and arm pat before turning and leveling off, yelling ahead to the squires that are just leaving the forest and entering back into the KAU compound. I swear more than any other night I've met, this bear wants me to kill over. I take a moment to gather myself before following after. Okay, everyone, you did great. We will be doing more intense survival training in other climates across the ocean as well. Mixing it up with combat practices and other simulations will give you all as much experience as possible in the event that you are stranded. However, for the rest of today, he pauses until every eye is watching him nervously. You all are excused from duty. Go have some fun as long as your knights don't have anything for you. It is a collective sigh of relief, quickly replaced by murmurings of excitement as squires start discussing what to do with their unexpectedly free afternoon. So what's the plan? You want to do something? Zarya bounds up excitedly, followed by the three others. Even Brute looks a tad happy. It would be nice to get out and relax. Maybe we can get into Densis. I heard there are bars that give squads discounts. Ellis looks sheepishly excited, his ears wagging in a hopeful, playful manner. That is so endearing. I shake my head. I got bells on the brain now. Yeah, that could be fun. We don't have any scheduled sessions tomorrow, so I don't think Jazz would mind. I'm certain Cannon has always signed off on not giving me anything until tomorrow evening. A trip to the city would be most welcome, shall we? Alex is back to his usual decorum, though his tail twists tells of his excitement. The group looks at Brute, although he's standing with his arms crossed and a scowl on his face. As usual, his tail wags just enough to suggest interest. I have to watch out, so y'all don't make fools of yourselves, don't I? So I'll have to come along. He growls impotently. He growls impotently as his tail gives him away. I'm not sure if he thinks he's even getting away with it. Well then, that sounds splendid. Shall we reconvene in an hour? That works. I need to deliver something to my knight anyway, and I can ask if I'm clear to go. With a nod, Alex sighs happily. Ah yes, I need to have a proper shower to feel fully clean and presentable. After a far glare towards his knight, rolling past his eyelid innocently, Alex starts to head off his way. The rest of us take off, hurrying to our respective homes. As I near the house, I can hear impacts against wood echoing from the back. Heading around back, I am presented with quite the sight. Cabas is in front of the training dummy, his stance set wide chest exposed as he lays siege to the wooden enemy with two practice axes, perfectly moving back into position after each swing. He's mesmerizing to watch. This is the first time I've seen him in action. It's easy to see that he earned his titles. Every strike is swift, deadly, with an unnerving grace. I can only tell he favors his right side because he mentioned it. The differences in strikes are small. If I wasn't aware, I doubt I'd have been able to tell. The axes aren't the only weapons around. The rack is full of a whole assortment of arms, all new practice versions. From what I can see, it looks like they've all been used in this session. I stare for a couple of minutes. After all, how could I not admire my knight in action? He stops after a few more swings. He pants, arms hanging loose by his sides. Towel, please, Cohen. Some towels are draped over the edge of the deck railing. I hurry to grab a few and then bring them to Cabex. I pause. May I? I wait as he considers. After he gives me a small nod, I step forward. I pass him the smaller of the two towels before I move to wipe down his back, taking note to use a lighter rub on his left. That was amazing, Cabex. How long have you been going at it? Just a moment. I need to record this. I hadn't noticed his stick sitting on a nearby table. A few hollow screens float above it. I can only assume he was transmitting to them. He must have something set up to record his movements. I nod silently and let him finish, concentrating on mopping him down as best as I can. Eventually he stops me so he can return to the access to the rack before regarding me properly. Sorry, Corin. I wanted to make sure I got everything organized. How went the training? Well, Night Tops went easy on us, I think. He's really odd. He's not bad. In fact, he's really kind, but I couldn't understand some of the things he did. Cabot chuckles as he dries his head. Emerging from under the tower, his ears spring back up. He drapes the towel around his shoulders and looks up into the sky as he considers his reply. Canon Tobbs is an unorthodox knight. You are not the first, nor the last, that he's confused. He delights in keeping folks on their toes. He always has a reason. When I met him, I didn't get him either. He would play pranks or cause friction between other squires, seemingly at random. He walks over to the table and then picks up his stick, cycling through some of the windows as he continues. I didn't see it at first, but Cannon has incredible insight and judgment. I can tell when someone needs a push or where friction actually helps air things out. He smiles wistfully, followed by a sad frown. He always knows what you need far sooner than you will. He always had my back, even when I stubbornly thought he was being a chaotic influence. He drifts off, and I'm reminded of what Cannon said earlier. I take out the jar and then move to place it on the table in front of Cabot, a smiling bear, Laban beams up at him. I don't think that's changed. He still cares. You see his flick as he reaches for the jar. He holds it in his right paw, almost reverently, like he's afraid it'll break. I know. It's just hard when there's been so much space and time, and I'm not the same wolf I was. He's just dead. I'm not exactly sure what to say. I reach out instinctively to console him, but hesitate before placing my hands very slowly on his left midsection, right over some of the coarse fur. He flinches a little, even though he's seen my hand, but he doesn't pull away. I think he's still there. Still recovering. Night Tops won't mind either. If he's as insightful as you say, he knows you'll do it when you're ready. He nods and we stand silently for a moment. I don't have any idea how to help more, so we just linger, each of us in quiet contemplation. So what brought on the practice? Would you like me to put the weapons away, or I had almost forgotten the pack's plan. If Cabot needs me, I'll have to tell them I'm busy. More preparation for the next session. I've gone through the data from all you squires, checked against prior experience, preferences, and my own judgment to come up with a training plan for each of you. I needed to reacquaint myself with each weapon and the attack patterns I planned to teach first. He lifts up his stick and shakes it slightly. I've recorded it all, and I'll be going through the data to finalize it. Plus, it's good to get the practice in. My eyes widen. It sounds like he's really done a lot of work. I wonder if he had planned to have this done before the first session, but a change threw his schedule off. Or perhaps he planned this because he wanted to make a better impression next time. Either way, it was impressive. Well, that's amazing. So, what can I do to help? If you need it, that is. Calbex looks at me and, as he considers, I try not to twitch as I wait. Well, I do suppose that you could put all of these away. I also need my evening meal cooking as I take a bath, so there's that. My heart sinks somewhat. I was all to spend the evening at home with Calbex before I catch him staring at me. Why the long face? Surely you don't have anything else planned. Well, I'm happy to help, Calbex. What would you like me to start on first? He ponders again before covering his muzzle with a paw and chuckling. I can't keep this up. Night Toss has always messaged me about giving you the evening off. He expects all of you to go out and have fun. Go on, get ready. I'm more than capable of handling myself for an. Go on, get ready. I'm more than capable of handling myself for an evening. He gives me a softer look before glancing towards the practice weapons. Really, have a good, fun night. It's important to have time to distress from it all. It takes a second before what Cabot said sinks in. Cracking into a grin, I hold off on whooping and instead make my way to the glass door that leads to the kitchen. I open it and then pause and turn my head to call back to Cabot. You should heed your own advice sometime, my knight. You deserve it just as much. I enter and practically bounce through the kitchen and then up the stairs, not looking back to see how he reacted. I needed saying, but he'll have to process that one himself. Then this is a short journey on the Magrail from the KAU complex. The sleek tube draws over the glassy path like a lazy dragonfly. There are a fair few packs on board, and also heading to the city. It seems like everyone had the same idea to travel and explore. Zarya bounces from one side of the rail to the other, trying to look at every new sight we pass by. She occasionally drags one of us with her to stare if she thinks we'd be interested. Her spirit is infectious. It isn't long before I abandon trying to sit down and instead stand looking out eagerly myself. In the heart of the city, it is common to see everyday life thriving. People walk the grassy streets, dine at cafes, and shop casually with an air of serenity that I had all but forgotten. On every corner and crosswalk, fruits hang ripe on the trees, and vines growing there. Their canopies from interlocking trees form dappled areas that make some districts appear cool and mysterious. Glancing up at the taller, high-rise buildings, colorful bursts of candlelight flowers emerge from the climbing plants and makes each building look like its own individual ecosystem. I wonder how it's all done. How does one orchestrate construction and integration with plants so intricately? I bet Cannon would know, or maybe Morrows. I should message him later and ask. Here we go. We should disembark here. Alex draws our attention as we come to a gentle stop and the door hum open. We hurry to depart to allow first passengers aboard. I take in the area that we've stopped in. My brain tries to reconcile the feeling of being in the wilderness and the metropolis at the same time. Streams cut paths through the vegetated streets, and everywhere I can see so many varieties of colorful plants and birds. Billboards and bright lights cut through the forested vibe and advertise anything from the latest cologne to upcoming events. The juxtaposition is bizarre but wonderful in its own way. Come on. Who gives my soda a bump as he walks past, just enough to jostle me from my staring. I try to catch up. Alex takes us down a few streets before pivoting down a smaller archway. It opens into a square with scintillating smells emanating from a stall set up on one corner. Alex confidently strides up to the vendor and, after a brief exchange, returns to us with a variety of foods on skewers. Here we go, my intrepid pack mates. A secret taste out of the ordinary courtesy of my knight's recommendation. Knight Top says that they use a very flavorful glaze. He hands each of us one in turn. I'm hit with a savory aroma now that it's up close. The stick holds hues of alternating foods, and the whole thing is covered in a syrupy sauce that has an iridescent sheen to it. Zarya is examining hers intensely, no doubt, trying to figure out the individual components of her meal. Alex and Pooh are already a third of the way done with theirs. I catch Alex's eyes as we toast with our skewers before indulging. I was surprised by the initial sourness to the bite from her expression. Alex wasn't expecting it either. As I chew more, the sourness gives way to a rich, sweet, and savory flavor that goes oddly well with the first meat chunk. The next bite gives a totally different experience as the glaze works with a roasted vegetable cube to highlight the sweet notes. It's an addictive experience. Each piece pairs perfectly with the sauce, but in totally unique ways that makes it very refreshing. When I'm done, I'm half tempted to go get another. Night Tots was spot on. That was amazing. Alex licks his lips with a look of pure bliss. I offer my agreement too. Yeah, that was the best thing I've had. That's the best thing I ever had. I could never get tired of it, the way it kept changing. Brute nods his head too, still chewing and sucking on the skewer to get the last bit of taste out. The rest of us have disposed of ours. Fuck, that is good shit. You could eat it over and over and wouldn't get sick of it. Good call, Alex. Alex's eyebrows rise so high that I think they'll take off and fly away, but he remains silent. He then checks his stick and lightly coughs to clear his throat. Indeed, I'm glad that saved our bellies. If I have this right, it's a short walk to our destination. Ah yes, this way. Pointing across the square, he leads us forth with confidence. As we follow our tour guide, we take in the sights as we go. The streets are tighter here. Each building is stacked close, creating narrow passages and hidden spots throughout. Several of the alleys we pass have trellises stretching between buildings, connecting them with like webs. Creeping plants grow and dangle from them, creating areas of shadow that feel secretive and alluring in the setting sun's light. I can't help the anticipation and excitement bubbling up as we delve deeper. It's as we're passing another alley, entrance in our labyrinthine progression, that my eyes catch the lights of a place that must have just opened. Already a few people are filtering in or hanging outside. My gaze is about to pass over them as the pack presses on, but something in my mind makes me take a second look. On actual inspection, I see that most of the patrons are scantily dressed. Some wear harnesses, others instead have on tight or leather-clad clothing. I squint to read the sign above the door, tan leather. My brows suit up as I realize it must be a place to revel in some more robust activities given the clientele. Cohen, keep up. It's just down this way. I've stopped long enough at the site that I'm about to lose them as they progress further and down another turn. I turn my gaze away from the enticing place to respond. Sorry, I'll come. My reply is cut short as, out of the corner of my eye, I see someone entering the hidden place that I feel I recognize. Snap my head back to look. Surely it wasn't. Come on, Cohen, I can see it. I had to turn and jog to catch back up. It was only the briefest of glimpses, but I could have sworn I saw Alex's knight going into the leather place. I was only curious before, but I'm very interested now. My mind starts to imagine what kinds of things happen within those walls. My stupor is shaken as Zarya grabs me by the right shoulder and points to our destination with her other paw. Look, isn't it amazing? I follow her gesture and look at where Alex has led us. At first I think he's brought us to a tree, a large thick tree that stretches upwards to rival the surrounding buildings. However, as my gaze rises to look at the boughs and leaves, I realize that it isn't a tree at all, rather not completely. However, as my gaze rises to look at the boughs and leaves, I realize that it isn't a tree at all, rather not completely. The leaves pulse and throb with light patterns emanating from them to some beat I can't hear. The trunk, I realize, has a large door card, or maybe ground into it. There is already a queue starting to form along the side of the club, with Zoya dragging me eagerly forward. We all make our way to join. Music is pumping out, though it's muffled by the foliage so much that it can barely be heard. Alice proudly puffs out his chest upon completion of his successful Wayfinder mission. Nectar is a long-established club and bar that has been a frequent watering hole for KAU squads for years. The decor is supposed to be awe-inspiring as well. I thank you, Eric, will appreciate the engineering that has gone into making this place. He smiles very self-congratulatory at us and pats Eric on the back, whose ears are wiggling as he looks ahead to the entrance. I can tell he isn't the most used to this kind of thing, but now he looks at least interested in the place. Zoya is in the same situation. Her excitement for this new experience is much more visible as she vibrates. Unable to contain her energy, she chats up the folks in front of us as the queue moves forward. I smile, seeing them all eager to relax. Boo, however, is back to a guarded mode, his arms across as he examines those in front and behind like they're possible adversaries rather than fellow clubgoers. Come on, Brute, this doesn't strike me as your first rodeo. I whisper to him as we wait. He gives me a look of total derision before shaking his head and sighing. No, I've been out plenty. It's usually a waste of time and credits. If you let your guard down in the wrong place, you end up getting fucked over. Before I can respond, he raises a paw. Look, I know this is different. At least they're playing decent music, but don't expect me to get all chummy and start acting like a fool. You can't be too careful. I shut my mouth and let him return to his Virgil. I was about to say that Nectar will, of course, be safe, but I've seen enough bars and folks on my moon getting blind drunk. I know you can go too hard and end up regretting it. Maybe a few drinks will unclench him a little, but if he wants to watch our backs, then I feel like I can trust him. Here we go. They can verify our status through a stick scan. Present them to the doorman for entry. I turn back to the front and see Alex has already taken his out. He holds it towards the bouncer, who is a formidable bovine man. Even with the tight suit and impressive horns, his demeanor is relaxed and welcoming as he scans the presented stick. He confirms KAU membership and then ushers Alex to enter before he does the same for Eric and Zoya. There you go, bud. Yep, all scanned. Welcome, Squire. Enjoy yourself. Nectar prides itself on providing the utmost care for everyone, so if we cut you off, accept and enjoy the vibe. He winks at me as he lets me pass, and I feel myself blush. Damn, I really need to blow off some steam soon if a wink makes me fluster now. The hallway towards the club proper is posted with soft lights. It makes the corridor inviting, but also slightly intimidating. Route is the last to be let through. Altogether, we make our way to the doors ahead. The room feels like a secret hive. A lattice of support beam spiders its way upwards into a dome far above. Right in front of us is a dance floor, which is already filled with people. They are laughing, drinking, and dancing to the music from above. The focal point of the room, an entire tree has been built or grown to fill the room. Much like the exterior, this tree also has some engineering done to it. The sun and glow from the leaves thrum in time with the music, which is emanating from a platform in the upper regions. A wolf bounces and bounces between the various machines, weaving and alternating the track to elicit excitement from the crowd. Streams of vibrant liquids pour from the ceiling into the pools below. Just from the smell, it must be alcoholic. Indeed, I spy plenty of revelers filling their glasses, and I'm curious how it tastes. Seeing so many people having uninhibited fun makes me grin, and I'm determined to have at least some time on the floor myself. Alex leads us up a staircase in the upper balcony, choosing a seating section with comfortable plush sofas. More glowing plants dot the area, and it's hard not to be mesmerized by the neon pulsing, several also gushing fluids and cascades. We're about level with the DJ's booth and also have a great view of the dance floor below. As we settle in, Alex thumbs his earring. Within a few moments, the table in the center of our seating area opens up. A tray of drinks rises from the depths with some mist adding to the presentation. Zoya and Eric's cool at the spectacle, though I see Brute rolling his eyes. He doesn't hesitate to take a glass when offered. Alex stands in front of us and raises his glass. I propose a toast to my pack, to each of you for making it a pleasure to be here, and for making me proud to stand next to you in combat. We raise our glasses and then take a drink. It's carbonated and fruity, and wow, it packs a punch. Oh, that's good. Drinks are on me this evening, so please feel free to enjoy all the taste nectar has to offer. The strings are supposedly color-coded for strength. Red is stronger and blue is weaker. He gestures between us with an aqueduct weaves its way. He gestures behind us where an aqueduct weaves its way around the backs of the seating area. The liquid flowing past us is currently glowing a vibrant green. I had assumed it was merely for show. I leaned over to get a closer look and see Zoya excitedly picking up a glass from the bank and dipping it in. I do the same and then bring the sweet-smelling liquid to my lips and drink. It is mild and crisp, not as strong as the first glass we just had. Oh my gosh, it's true. I thought you were pulling my leg, Alex. This is incredible. She giggles with such childlike wonder that I can't help but laugh as well. The whole club certainly has a whimsy to it I've never seen before. They must have spent a lot on the bioengineering. The seating system alone would have cost a lot to get right. Eric mumbles as he also looks deeply into the waters. I imagine he is more excited for the architecture than the drinks. This was very kind of you, Alex. You don't have to pay for us. I'm happy to cover myself. Alex gives my left knee a pat as he sits down next to me. Crossing his right leg over the other, he then leans back against the cushions. It's perfectly alright. I suggested to part the place, so it's only right to. Yeah, if the princeling wants to pay for us, let him. Boots smacks his lips, which are now glowing green. I look at the stream and imagine he chugged a few gulps the instant Alex had agreed to pay. He seems more than happy with the arrangement. I just shrug and decide to toast another drink with Alex. Let Brute be Brute then. I'm not a prince, Brute. It is true that my sister was affluent, and my family certainly is higher on the social ladder, as it is to say. He swallows his drink a little as he continues to mull. All that comes with is more pressure to achieve a good name and make sure the jewelry box that our family remains in good standing. Splurging on occasion is a fair enough deal, I should think. He smiles and finishes his drink. Brute snorts, already using his stick to order another round. Boo-hoo, my lord said. Cry me a golden river. Brute. He gives her a scathing look. What? There are far worse things than having 2 months' money and some expectations. You think I still feel bad because he has a hard life? Well, he fucking doesn't. Lewis tries a new drink as soon as he ascends, and then, as soon as it ascends, and then downs it in a single gulp. So much for not acting foolish. I agree, Brute. I have nothing to complain about, especially when so many more are in dire straits. It's one of the main reasons I signed up. I wanted to clear up the scourge of the plague away so we can go back to improving everyone's well-being, not just my own. Here, I agree, Alex. Obviously, the fight takes precedence, but we should be looking to a time when the fighting is over and we can do other things. Alex looks uncomfortably between Alex and Brute. He's trying to smooth things over while also getting his point across. I haven't ever thought about afterwards. What would I do if the plague was defeated? What even was there? The looming enemy was always so present in my mind that there was no room for beyond. What fucking comes after? Our shoulders Brute echoes my own inner monologue. He drains another glass from the string, which I know is now an orange hue. There is only the fight. That is all we should be focused on, not some fantasy where we all get to go home and live happily ever after. Even when we do win, there's still going to be those that were lost. Still those in need. The fight won't be done. Brute, you're not wrong. Maybe that is what we do after then. Help rebuild, put things back together. Can't reclaim everything that is gone, but we can still help. She looks down at her paws, clenching and unclenching them in her lap. She certainly has something she can't get back, but she is still pressing forwards. That's a commendable goal. I wasn't trying to downplay any other person's circumstances and what they have lost. But after the plague is done, after we defeat them, we can continue to make this galaxy a better place by helping everyone affected. Sound good? I'll chill to that. To helping others so the next generation can grow up without all the shitty fallout of the plague. Here. And fuck the plague. Here. We chuckle, toast our glasses, and then the tension falls away. We have more drinks, many more go down Brute's gullet. The system eventually cuts him off, but he swipes a few from me from time to time. It's fun. It's actually fun and nice to just chill out. Zora starts drinking after a particularly vulgar joke makes her cackle so loudly that the next table all turn around. She blushes so hard she makes a glowing plant seem dull. Alex can handle his booze. Even towards the end of the evening, he is still cute. He is still his cute and awkward self, though maybe a little more relaxed. Alex remains refined throughout. When I try to coax him to the dance floor, he takes one look at the chaotic mess of gyrating bodies and politely declines, citing that he would agree in a more formal setting, which prompts Brute to, in his own way, heavily encourage Alex by literally dragging him into the crowd. After pushing through and finding them, I see Brute letting loose and whipping his head back and forth to an almost violent degree. Alex gives me a look of utter pain and then sighs. He starts a few simple moves back and forth, still stiff. After Zarya and Alex finds us, we too start to dance and laugh and just give into whatever movements we want to. Tonight is a good night. When we leave, Brute is very much over his limit. It appears I wasn't the only one he'd been swiping drinks with. On the Magwell back, he leans against us, all in turn, giggling at his own jokes. I'm glad the carriage is empty as it ranges from childish to vulgar. When we get back to the KAU compound, I offer to make sure Root makes it back to Commander's home. The others depart with a wave. Come on, Mutt. Let's get you back to your night, eh? I sling the droopy wolf's right arm over my shoulders to support him. As I half carry him, half wobble with him on our way, we only teeter a little. Oh yes, Ben is so good. He takes me seriously. Well, I bet he does. We both seem very intense. No, really. He likes it when I say how much I fucking hate the plague and listens to my ideas for aggressive engagement. Boom. With veers, he waves his free paw wildly, looking at the sky as if he could see explosions lighting it up. That's so, eh? Well, I'm glad that's true. They deserve all the pain they've caused back and then some. Root stopped so suddenly that I almost fall over. I managed to hold on and then look at his face, which is now locked on mine and steely. Yeah, fuck him. You know what I mean. You lost it all. All gone. Sucks. Yeah, I know. It really does. I lost her too. He whispers into his chest as he leans back on me, and I slowly start moving us again. I lost someone as well. Sophia. She's my sister. Was my sister. I love her so much. I pat him with the arm holding his waist as I struggle to keep us going. I can feel wetness falling on my cheeks, but I give Root the grace to not look at him while he continues. Funny thing is, our planet wasn't even valuable. They didn't want us. They wanted our star. A star seeds. That must be what he's going on about. When the plague got after a star, they don't back down or obliterate anything that comes near. They usually strike other systems as well. The aim is to split our attention and forces, stalling any attempt to mount a coordinated resistance. Meanwhile, the plague swarm their target system, digging in, taking over planets or moons, and using them to mount devastating blows against any aid. The largest concentrations surround the star and start siphoning everything from it. It is brutal and frantic in the worst show of the plague's insidiousness. In the process, the system that belongs to it dies. Even if the plague are driven away, the changes to a star's mass could ruin every planet orbiting it. Union fought them, yeah, hard. They won in the end, but our planet had been cut off from suppliers for so long. She got sick, medicine never came, and he trails off, and I feel my wetness splashing down on me. I move us forward. I know from experience sometimes you don't want words in return. You just want to get it out. Thanks for going. For what you did and everything. You saved me. You did everything it took. So yeah, thanks and shit. Huh, yeah, you're welcome. Brute. But don't ever expect that again. We gotta do better next time. We can't rely on that method ever again. It's far too risky. We're lucky we didn't get caught. Oh yes, I know. Although I have to say that fit. The door we're approaching opens at that moment, and the commander looms in the doorway. Well, look what got dragged home. Oh fuck, he's totally nude. Am I having a fever dream? Ben's eyes dart across me, Brute, then me again, and back to Brute. He crossed his arms and tilts his head to the left. So you two were out gallivanting, eh? Then getting drunk off your tits is a proper use of your time. I can see past him into the house. The corridor is very similar to Cabex's, though he seems to have more picture frames on the wall. And why is he naked? I keep trying to find something to concentrate on rather than letting my eyes wander. Yes, sir. I mean, no, sir. We were given leave by Night Todd's and decided to spend some time in the city. Yes, sir. That's right. We went for some drinks and dancing to help with pack synergy and motivation. That's all. Finn's eyes bore into me as I keep my gaze on his, hoping I can maintain it. Just keep looking at his face, Cohen. Drinks and dancing only, eh? His white eyebrow rises slowly, like a blade ready to snap down on my neck before he finally cracks a grin. Hey, relax. I'm aware. You're off duty and you're entitled to some R&R. I'll take it from here, Squire Stringer. His gaze leaves me and I feel like I can breathe again. Without a single sign of with effort, he takes Boot and slings him over his shoulder. No, I can walk, sir. I'm sorry. Enough. Finn barks at Boot, who goes limp on him. He turns into the doorway, stopping before pivoting his head to the left, hopefully not catching me checking his other assets out. You get back to your own place now, Squire. I spent maximum effort in the next training session now that you all have relaxed. Understood? Yes, sir. I salute, spin on the spot, and then practically run for it. My cheeks are so hot. Does he just walk around his home naked all the time? I wouldn't get anything done if Cowbooks did that. Holy fuck. By the time I get home, my cheeks have stopped flushing. I feel a damn sight more sober. It's not that late, but I don't want to disturb Cowbooks if he's already resting. I wince a little as the door slides open with a creak and I then sneak in. I take off my shoes slowly and deliberately and then place them quietly next to the others. I start creeping towards the stairs as softly as I feel I can. However, there's light coming from the kitchen. How did I not see that? Corwin, you're back. Oh yeah, Cabot, I'm home. I thought you might be asleep already, so I was trying to be quiet. That's alright. Can you come in here before you head up? His tone is slightly stiff, but it could be from calling from another room. I walk through and see that he sat by the window with his final tonic for the day, nursing it. Please sit down. I move over to sit in the chair opposite him, the buzz from the night starting to burn away. He looks anxious or embarrassed. I take my place and look at him quizzically. So, I need to have a talk with you. Commander Finn came over earlier. Oh fuck, what? He didn't seem pissed off when I saw him. He was more pleasant than normal, even. What could he... I know what happened during the battle, and, we need to talk. Well, he knows about what Corwin and Brute did in that battle. And he knows. And Commander Finn told him about it. I'll be honest, Commander Finn, he acted a lot differently than I thought he would. He acted very differently, like he wasn't bothered by it. I seem like both he and Bruce were in a different kind of state, mental state, I guess. I don't know. Well, we know Bruce was drunk, and he probably didn't mean to tell Corwin about his past, or maybe he did. But anyway, he was certainly drunk, and when you get drunk, you say things that you don't necessarily want anyone to know. Get drunk and you speak your mind and you say things that you didn't want anybody else to know. So anyway, we got to see different sides of both Brute and Finn. Brute thanked Corwin for what he did. So it seems like, I guess he probably didn't like it, but he probably knew that it was really the only way for them to survive. So I guess when he thought about that, way, he decided to thank Corwin for saving his life. So and we also got to learn that he had a sister, and he lost his sister in the war, and that he loved her very much. So that was a driving force. That was like a driving force towards his hatred for the plague. And he seemed to like Corwin because, well, he seemed to like Corwin now. I don't know if he likes Corwin, but he seemed to drop his hostile behavior towards him because he also suffered just like him. Plus, he was very impressed with the way he performed at the battlefield. So, it looks like the two of them are finally on good terms now. Because we really got to see the fun side of him, I guess, if you want to call it fun. He was actually hanging out with everybody more. He was participating in the fun with everyone instead of, just being some kind of loner where the others have fun. He participated with the others, and he had some fun with Alex, which is a long way from what the relationship was, especially when they were in the Sours. When Brute gave insults towards Alex, and it looks like Alex was about to beat him up in the Sours. So, these characters, they grew a whole lot as people, and their relationship with each other has grown a whole lot too. So they are much closer now, because of their mission and their determination to defeat the evil plague and to help out the galaxy after it's done. And in addition to see a different side of Brute, we got to see a different side of Commander Finn. I mean, while I certainly expected there to be some nudity in this update, I didn't expect it to be from Commander Finn. He was the last person I thought we would see nude. But we also get to see him smile. Like, I think we always saw him smile, kind of like this insidious smile, But in this part, he actually doesn't mind. I mean, he actually didn't have any problem with them having a good day out, taking a rest, which is very strange for him because he always seemed to be the type of person who valued work, all the time. But I guess he had that much respect for, what's his name, that big bear who is Alex's knight. I don't got his name, but I guess he had that much respect for him that he decided to go easy on everyone, I guess. But he seemed to be, a different type of personality. He apparently just opened his door up and he was naked. And he didn't seem to be all that bothered by Corwin seeing him naked and flushing. So, you got to see a different side of him too. Hopefully we'll see more of that side of him in future updates, and maybe he'll go a little bit easy on everybody during the trainings. I mean, I'm not against being strict and expecting everybody to perform their jobs to the best of their ability, but I think he could be a little bit less harsh on everybody. Just be a little bit easy. So I got to meet the bear, whose name I keep forgetting. and he and Kybux were friends, but they kind of fell distant. You know, they were kind of like distant now. They don't really talk much, but he has a high opinion of Kybux, and Kybux has a high opinion of him, the bear. So I don't think they, I think they still respect each other, and I think they're still technically friends, but they kind of just drifted apart. You know, kind of busy, and just don't have time to be together, or maybe something between them did happen. But I guess the class Cabot he was in has something to do with it. Okay, his name is Cannon, so that's his name, Cannon. So I guess Cabot acted differently after that accident he had. Was causing to be the way he is right now, and that caused him to drift apart from the others, and his personality kind of changed, his hobbies changed. So I guess that's what made Cowbex and Cannon and some of the other knights, that what made Cowbex, drift apart from Cannon. But both of them still have high respect for each other. You know, when we were Cannon during that training, the survival training, Cannon was very high on Cowbex, and Cowbex, when we talked with Cowbex about Cannon, he was very high on Cannon. So so I really like Cannon. He's very reasonable, and he's very nice and very social, and perhaps a little horny also. And we did see him at that club, so it was like a split second. So yeah, I knew he was kind of horny, and when we saw him at the club, that confirmed my thoughts about him. But I like him as a character. Plus, I like bears, big chubby bears. So yeah. All right, so this was a good update. We got to see different parts of the characters, especially Commander Finn and Brute. So I'm looking forward to see how Cabas is going to react. What he's going to say to Corwin about what he did in the battlefield. Because he and Brute had sex, and Corwin is Cabex's squire, and Brute is Commander Finn's squire. So when Brute and Corwin had sex, in a bid to save their lives, both Cabex and Commander Finn felt that. So I don't know, maybe they didn't feel the same way that Corwin and Brute did, but they certainly felt it in a way. But I guess they felt it in a way in the sense that their conditions began to improve. So but anyway, maybe they weren't having sex, but I guess Cowboys didn't quite remember afterwards, after what happened, and Commander Finn reminded him of what happened. So anyway, looking forward to what Cowboys had to say to Corwin. I hope nothing bad happens. and they'll drift apart, and hopefully Cobbles doesn't kick Corin out for this. I hope he just kind of understands that what Corin did was to save his life, and he forgives him, and just drops the subject altogether. All right, so thank you all very much for watching. Goodbye.